Hello friends, Koolio here, and welcome back to the channel. We are jumping back into ONMYOJI, the card game, because I want to bring you guys some of my beginners tips and tricks. Now, in this video, we're not going to dive into the actual gameplay. I'll kind of cover that a little bit later, but what I want to do in this video is actually cover some things that at first aren't initially as clear as they should be, or certain points of the game that I completely missed when I first jumped into it for the very first time, as well as I've had a couple of you guys ask me to break down my deck, and I actually think the deck that I'm currently using is a really easy, beginner-friendly, and free-to-play friendly deck, and so we're going to be covering that later in this video. But if you guys are enjoying these ONMYOJI card game videos, then make sure to like button. It helps me out, lets me know that you guys are enjoying these videos. Also, comment down below your favorite aspect of the game. For me personally, I just love the card art. It looks so good. That's my favorite aspect. So let's go ahead and jump in and talk about the game and give you guys some of my tips and tricks. And the first one is something that, like, at first I was like, oh, I had no idea that was there, and I totally missed out on a bunch of rewards. But as you're playing through the game, you're going to be getting these gift bags. Now, the gift bags will actually go into your item slot right here. The item slot has consumables that you'll be able to take. These consumables, the beginner pack, and then there's another pack as well that I think goes up to like level 10. But just make sure that you're going in here and that you're unlocking them, because I had no idea that I had these consumables here. And then once I actually found them, I was like, oh man, okay. And I unlocked a whole bunch of them and got tons and tons of rewards. And so this is kind of just a reminder for anyone that's jumping into the game. If you haven't already, make sure to go check your items, because you may have a bunch of free packs with a lot of free stuff in it as well. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the items themselves. You'll notice I have a whole bunch of different items right here. The interesting thing is the game doesn't necessarily tell you how a lot of these items end up functioning. Now, if you actually head on over to your missions, there's going to be special quests that you'll be able to complete. These special quests will actually unlock story modes for you to continue to progress through the story itself. So right now, I actually need to get a rival record, which I'll be able to show you guys where to get that. Some of them require you to collect certain materials to actually craft them. But as you go through and you complete these special quests, you'll be able to then go up to your story mode, and you'll be able to unlock new story modes that you'll be able to push through. Because I ended up finishing the prologue and chapter 1, and then there was like nothing for me to do. And I was like, what is going on? Why can't I go to chapter 3 or chapter 2 and beyond? And that's because I wasn't finishing my special missions. Now, a lot of these special missions basically just ask you to head on over to the grocery store down here and buy items from the grocery store. Now, this thing will actually reset 4 times a day at 6, 12, 18, and 24 o'clock every day. So make sure to come back into it and just double check on it every once in a while. And the thing is if you have a quest that requires an item, it will actually pop up in the corner and say quest right here. So the item that I needed to get to chapter 2 was the wooden earplugs, and it said quest up here at the top. Now, you'll notice that there are some items that say Showtime Guy. These Showtime Guy items will help you continue to progress and upgrade your buildings over in the Showtime Guy area, which let's go ahead and talk about that right now, because it's a little bit confusing at first, but I do want to kind of explain how this works, because you'll probably want to start doing this as soon as you possibly can. So the Showtime Guy is sort of this cosmetic building system that you'll be able to jump into every once in a while and be able to collect passive income and be able to kind of go through and customize your shop and stuff like that. So I've actually gone ahead and customized my shop a little bit more by adding in a whole bunch of new items and stuff. Now, as you go through and you put more items into here, more shopping, shelves and things like that, it'll increase your overall attraction, which increases your overall passive income and experience that you need to upgrade your overall buildings. Now, there's going to be some items that you'll need to collect. For example, this item right here called the artwork shelf requires me to place an item in it. The item is the wagon plumage item. Now, there was one over in the store just barely. Now, if I were to buy that and place it in here, it will actually activate an event. Now, I was able to activate my very first event, and I was able to get my very first Shikigami character that I can then go ahead and dispatch on missions, which is Kaguya here. Now, she has special knowledges and special attributes and stuff that will actually help continue to upgrade and bring me specific rewards and stuff that I can use for my shop. Now, as of right now, I'm not able to actually dispatch her, and the reason why that is, and some of you guys are probably questioning that as well, like, how do I upgrade this shop? How do I get it bigger? How do I actually send my Shikigami out? The thing is make sure that you go through and you're customizing your shop, you're adding in all of those different items and stuff, because you're not going to be able to go and build new things, because it'll require you to actually level up your overall setup. The way that you level up your setup is through a passive income right here, through these items right here. The currency in Showtime Guy to build and arrange Machiya. So you use this to buy the items that you'll place in your shop, and then every single time that you come back, you'll be able to get this experience item right here, this sort of flower. Collect Sakura. Now, as I go through, once I get to 6,000, my Showtime Guy will then push up to level 2, and then I'm able to go ahead and upgrade my building to a new one, add a guest house, and then I'll be able to send my Shikigami out on dispatches and be able to get more and more rewards. Just make sure that you're going in here, you're adding in those buildings, you're using your Showtime Guy currencies to add more items into your item shop that people will come and visit you, that you'll get more experience, and that you'll be able to level up your overall Showtime Guy level, that you'll be able to then send a whole bunch of stuff on missions and things like that. Now, there's another element to the Showtime Guy that I think is really important. Now, as you're going through and you're playing through the game, for some people, they may not like the heavy competitive aspect. If you're jumping into casual play, you may end up playing against players that have really high level decks or really powerful decks and stuff that you're not ready to go up against. Maybe you don't want to spend time jumping into ranked just yet because you don't have enough experience. Make sure that you're going to Showtime Guy because you'll have these NPC characters that will show up randomly. You can go ahead and click on them and you can play against them, and it's you versus a PvE or an NPC or whatever you want to call it, and you'll be able to get some practice out of it. Now, there is a reason why you're going to want to actually take these guys on, even if you think you're good enough at the game that you don't need practice, and that's because it will actually give you experience towards your battle pass. Every time you defeat an enemy, it will give you 50 experience points that you can use towards your overall battle pass. And so if you're looking to get points for your battle pass, that's a great way to get at least 100 every couple of hours or so. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is the different game modes in the game, the player match mode and the ranked match. Now, the thing is if you'd end up going into player match mode, it is a sort of more casual system, and you can actually get partnered or up against players that have been playing the game a lot more than you have, that may have better decks or have put more money into it and have unique cards that you've never played up against. So you may end up finding yourself losing against players in this one fairly often. Now, I do recommend once you've kind of gone through and you've taken down the enemies in the Showtime Guy, you've gone through and you've completed your basic combat missions in the beginner trials, which will actually give you a lot of cards. So make sure that you're going through and completing your beginner trials, which will also teach you about the game as well. Once you've kind of gone through and done all that and you've got like a basic idea of what you want to do for the game, I recommend jumping over to the ranked matches, because at least for your first 10 ranked matches, you'll be going up against either players roughly around the same level or beginners and stuff, which honestly for me, I've won like my first 10 matches, and they felt a little bit easier than going up against players in the casual match gameplay. So if you want to kind of jump in, go ahead and do that now. Jump into the ranked matches, get your feet wet, start experiencing what it's like playing against players. And usually I found that it's a little bit easier to jump into the ranked matches right up front if you want to get experience on how to actually play the game. Now, I actually had one of you guys, or a couple of you guys, ask me to show you my deck. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the deck that I've been currently using. This deck, I call it my advantage deck. I really, really like this one. And the cool thing about it is all of the Shikigami that are in this deck are actually very, very easy to get. And in fact, I think most of them are kind of beginner level cards that you'll unlock as soon as you jump into the game for the first time. And so I had a couple of people ask me to go through and kind of break down how my deck works to give you guys an idea of what I've been using and I found to be very, very effective, and also have certain abilities and gameplay styles that are pretty reminiscent of other card games that are pretty easy to understand. So the basic setup that I have for this is trying to take down as many of my opponent's Shikigami as possible, making it harder for them to use their cards in their hands, while also making sure that I have access to cards in my hands at all times, and then dealing damage to the opponent directly, and then if I need to be able to stun or take down the enemy Shikigami, which I did talk about it in my first video, so if you want a little bit more of a breakdown of that, make sure to go and check out that video where I show some actual gameplay. So, first of all, let's go ahead and show you guys the Shikigami that I have for my deck. So, I've got Bukumon, I've got Yukiona, and then I've got Hangun, and then I've got Huaka. So, when it comes to Bukumon, all of his attributes, all of his cards are focused on making sure that your hand always has enough cards in it that you're able to have the cards that you need. Now, I feel like the staple card that I have in this deck, one of the cards I think is probably one of the best cards for a starting player, is the Clarity of Mind card. This card is really, really good. Basically, it's an evolution card, or I'm sorry, it's a form card that you play on Bukamon. Now, basically what happens is it'll change the drawing at the start of the turn to view the top 3 cards of your library and choose one to add to your hand. Now, the reason why I think this is so good, as a brand new player into the game, you're going to find out that when it comes to drawing cards, it's really important to get cards that you absolutely need at a crucial point. And Clarity of Mind helps you get to that point, because if you're able to draw 3 cards every single turn and pick the one that you want, it helps you kind of set up your combos the way that you want, and also kind of lowers the randomness of your hand. And so the Clarity of Mind card, I think, is a staple card if you're going to be playing Bukamon. It's great. It's only a level 2 card, and it really has won me so many matches because of how good this card is. So I do recommend at least placing 2 in your deck to be able to get you the cards that you need when you need them. Now, another one that's really good as well is a new page, which allows you to draw 2 cards. Another one too is Wander, redraw your hand up to 3 times, which allows you to kind of randomly go through and mill some cards out and stuff if you don't have cards in your hand that you don't particularly like. Now, the rest of the cards in Bukamon, they're okay. Nothing like super amazing. I've just been using a lot of like the basic ones as of right now. The Explorer of Worlds, when he does damage to the opponent player, allows you to draw a card. Again, making sure that you have enough cards in your hand. But basically, you're going to probably play Bukamon more defensively, because you want to make sure that he stays on the field as long as possible, so you have Clarity of Mind as long as possible, so that you can make sure that you always get the cards that you need. Now, the next Shikigami I'm using is Yukiona. Now, the main thing I've been using Yukiona for is for her Snow Gust ability, the Avalanche ability, and the ability that she's able to summon snowballs, which you can use snowballs to attack the enemy using a fast draw, which means that you don't use any of your orbs. So basically, I use her to destroy any of the enemies that are in the standby phase, kind of like on the back row, and basically make sure that the enemy Shikigami are constantly knocked out of battle. Because if one of your Shikigami is knocked out, that basically makes a quarter of your deck useless. You can't do anything if your Shikigami is knocked out or even stunned. And so Yukiona is a really great, simple card that deals damage, knocks the opponent out, and even stuns them. So Yukiona, super, super easy, very easy to just jump into and understand kind of her overall abilities. Now, Hangun here, he's a card that is solely focused on taking out as many enemies as possible, building up your end cards. Now, you'll notice that as you're jumping into some of these matches, as you level up and level up your Shikigami and stuff, that when you start getting towards the end of matches, you're going to want to start having some pretty strong cards, and Hangun is a really great card for that. So the basic strategy for Hangun is by using Yukiona and using Huaka to take out as many of the enemy Shikigami as possible before you eventually use his card called the Condemn card. This card gains 1 attack for each Shikigami you have defeated during this game. I've gotten him up to like 16, 18. He gets crazy powerful, and he's a really, really great card to basically just finish the match off. He's got some great cards that also take out really powerful Shikigami, because you'll notice that as you kind of get towards the late game of matches, there may be really, really powerful Shikigami on the enemy team. Just drop down a death penalty, an instant kill against almost every single powerful Shikigami in the game. A couple of other great cards is the Soul Reap card. This is a level 1 card that is, again, a really, really nice card to use, because a lot of the beginner Shikigami have less than 2 attack, or 2 attack and less, and this card can take them out super easy, clear the battlefield, and allow you to attack your opponents directly. Again, this is a really great card with a offensive style of gameplay. Now, the last one I want to talk about is Huaka. Now, the reason why I use this card is, again, for dealing as much damage to the enemies as possible. With the Soar ability, deal 1 damage to all opponent Shikigami, as well as the Phoenix Flame card, deal 5 damage to the Shikigami. Does a lot of really great damage, and as well as the Swaying Blaze is another one that deals a lot of damage and then has the piercing effect. So any damage left over will just attack your opponent directly. Now, the way that I've actually been using her is sort of as a way to chip down at the enemy's HP. Now, if you're not able to get your Shikigami on the battlefield to attack your opponent directly, this is a really great card to slowly chip away at your opponent's health. Kind of the way I do it is I use her, chip away at the opponent's health by using things like Phoenix Cry, Soar, and her own passive ability. When Huaka plays a spell card, Projectile, deal 1 damage to either the enemy. If there's no enemy Shikigami, it'll just do it directly to the opponent. So I basically do that to chip away at their health, getting them down somewhere around 15, 16, and then I'll drop Hangun and his Condemned card and just finish off the match. And so that's kind of the overall strategy of my beginner deck that I've been using. If you guys want to see me do a video where I kind of go a little bit more in depth with this deck, or maybe a gameplay video, let me know down below in the comments. If you guys want to see me do other unique decks and stuff, because I actually have been working on a couple of interesting deck compilations and stuff like that, and checking out some of the beginner decks and things that the game offers you. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. Hopefully that is some decent beginners tips and tricks to help you guys jump into the game for the very first time. I will be doing a video here in just a little bit on the Hyakuban chess game mode, as well as I want to be doing a duo game with a couple of you guys. So keep an eye out for the channel, because I will probably be doing a live stream on that in the near future. So guys, thanks so much for watching. Again, if you guys enjoy it, leave a like. It helps out so much. I'd really appreciate it. And also make sure to subscribe to the channel for more ONMYOJI card game videos coming soon. So guys, thanks so much for watching. My name's Koolio, and I'll see you next time.